everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are going to be talking about Chanel and Louis Vuitton's fall 2018 fashion shows. Now, I know that I look very comfy. It's because it's snowing outside and it's the last day of fashion week and I'm so over it and I don't care, so I'm being a comfy queen. But I do have to say, some of you guys really wanted me to talk about different brands: Miu Miu, Thom Browne, Alexander McQueen, Jacques Mus. There were a few that I saw in my comments. I do apologize, I won't be able to talk about them, which does suck, but I think in the future I may be able to do some brand spotlights and I may be able to incorporate the collections there. So watch out for future videos. Now, before we get into the actual video, if you guys are looking for a channel that talks about fashion, luxury fashion, the fashion industry in a fun, sassy, cool way, this is the channel for you. So you can go down below and hit the subscribe button, and also turn on my post notifications if you want to know when my videos come out. Also, you can hit the like button if you like these fashion show reviews, and if you're looking for some pretty poppin' meme content and you want to hear all about what I have to say that goes on in fashion, you can definitely follow me at Hot Mode on Instagram. Now, let's start and talk about Louis Vuitton. So from what I understand, Nicolas Ghesqiuere had a 4-year contract at Louis Vuitton. This was the final show of the contract. I don't know if that's 100% true. That's just what I've read and what I've heard. But it was a very interesting last collection in terms of his contract. I don't think that he's gonna be going anywhere because I think that he's really elevated the brand in terms of accessories. I think the clothing is really iffy, but I really don't think that the people at LVMH care that much because it still is one of the top performing brands. And I think it actually is the top performing luxury brand in fashion, so I really don't see Nicolas going anywhere. I will say though, the collection was questionable. I think that I'm starting to understand more and more about what Nicolas does and how he operates at Louis Vuitton, but I also think that there are a lot of questionable style and design choices which need to be addressed often. And especially because last season was so good, you couldn't touch last season with a fucking anything. It was fantastic. So to go from last season to this season, I feel it's a real step down, and that's again hard. I talked about that with Saint Laurent. It is hard to go from a really amazing season to a really season. And I think the whole of Fashion Month this season has felt like that. Also, if you guys want me to talk about what I just thought of Fashion Month as a whole, I can do that on the next video, so let me know. So let's actually talk about the clothing. In the beginning, I actually really liked a lot of the looks. I felt it really had the Nicolas house codes. I felt it really was something that was interesting. The styling is good. He's really trying to push that kind of flared out top vibe. And I think that the suiting that he put out was really nice. I saw a lot of Western theme. I saw a lot of interesting detailing, embroidery. There was even a kind of sailor suit that I saw that I was okay, come through. So there were really good pieces in the beginning that really stood out. I think that as we go more and more into the collection, it gets a lot harder for Nicolas to keep the view consistent and cohesive. As I said, there were a lot of Western themes. I saw a lot of bolo ties and a lot of shoulder ruffles, which I felt were very Western, but also people were saying that the whole set was a spaceship. So I was is this Cowboy Bebop? What am I not understanding? Was this even really a spaceship? Because when Chanel did a spaceship, I knew it was a spaceship. I saw a lot of layering this season, which I think is really good. I like when Nicolas layers. But again, I think it's too futuristic and too fashion for people that a lot of it will never really sell. Some of the color block looks and a lot of the fabrics look kind of cheap, that it honestly reminded me of a lot of Project Runway pieces that I had seen. Even when you have amazing suits from Nicolas, he does this thing where he wants to ruin what he's made. So he adds a disgusting amount of fringe that goes all the way under a beautiful jacket and skirt. It's just so weird what he does. It's he wants to make the looks unwearable. And don't even get me started about the weird lopsided boobs. I'm sorry, nobody wants their boobs to look like that. I don't care who you ask. I don't care how fashion it is. Nobody's boobs ever want to look like that. That's the one thing that you have to understand, is that Yeah, I get it, future, cool, interesting, but like when your boob's lopsided, it's not gonna be good. And also just saying, I'm pretty positive that no woman in the future will ever be on the trend of, oh, I want one tit to be bigger than the other one. Like, it's not gonna happen. Boob thing, I also feel like it ruined a lot of good looks. Like there were some solid looks that reminded me of the resort collection in Rio that I was like, okay, like come through reference, like nice, all right, I like this. No, ruined it. They just killed the whole vibe. It was awful. But the real important part, I think, of Nicola's collections are the bags and the shoes. That is the bread and butter of Louis Vuitton and the brand in general. Last season we had some poppin' ass shoes. I really want them. If anybody wants to buy them for me, like send me a DM. But this season we really didn't get that with the shoes. The shoes were a bit meh, and I am very much so a big proponent of Nicola's accessory work. I think it's fantastic. I honestly think it's such a step up for the brand. But this season fell really flat. Even like the bags, they were nice, but there was no standout piece that you really were like, oh shit, I need that. And if it's a brand like Louis Vuitton, there should be at least one piece, whether it be a shoe or a bag, every season that you're like, holy fuck, I need that. Like, even if you can't afford it, you should be like, oh, who do I have to murder for that? Like, it just has to happen, and I feel like that also did not happen. So yeah, Nicola, I hope that you come back stronger. I hope that you stop giving me really good stuff and then ripping it away from me really quickly, because it hurts my poor little soul. Now let's talk about Chanel. I've been lambasted in the past for my Chanel reviews. I have no problem admitting it, and maybe sometimes they were a little bit harsh, but Karl does always need to be stepping his game up. So obviously there was this whole forest theme. I liked it, it was great. There is a lot of like nature Chanel vibes. We went from like, oh, fun grocery store to like now we're walking in the forest to I'm under the waterfall. Like, cool, I'm fine with that. I can work through this. I don't know if the Chanel customer is fucking hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro, but you know what? I'll come along for the ride. And there were these like trees and there were these like leaves, and everybody was really mad about the Raft popcorn thing at the Calvin show. So just so you know, the leaves and the trees will be recycled. So just putting it out there. The collection mostly focused on coats, and there were some really beautiful ones. Like, the man knows how to make a coat. He does. He knows how to fit a woman's body. Like, he understands a woman. No problem saying that. I think that what he does is he adds these like really weird and like really like old lady vibes to things, like these feathers and these colors and the cuts and the gloves, and it ruins it. Like, I'd rather just be as simple as possible. Give me silhouette, give me simplicity, because nobody really is going to be buying like a black coat with like 400 million feathers on it. At least not my generation. I don't know a girl that would ever do that. I understand you're selling to an older customer, but you also have to look at your younger customer and be like, what does she want to aspire to? These are not the clothing that the young millennials, Gen Z are aspiring to. I do have to say though, the one with the feathers did grow on me after a while. I really loved the tweed skirt suits. I felt like it was a real reclaiming of like women's clothing as powerful. Like, they were long and they were kind of sexy, but they also were very like conservative and stern, and I really like that. I will say about the wide-legged pants though, I don't want to see them if they're quilted. I don't want to see them if they're metallic. I don't want to see them at all. Just make a nice tailored pant to go with everything, and honestly it will sell like hotcakes and nobody will have a problem with it. And while the tweed was beautiful for the whole of the collection, it always is, I don't think that like the Chanel puffer coat is really needed. Puffer coats are not like about being slim right now, they're about being like gigantic. So let's keep them gigantic and fun and frisky. And there were a few tweed pantsuits which like I live for. Like, beautiful, amazing, I love it. That's what we need to be serving, like serving eleganza. There were a lot of looks that were ruined by like weird things. Like, there are beautiful cut, beautifully intricate, wonderful things that go down that runway, but he like tries to be showy and interesting and it hurts the collection. And then there was like this whole leaf thing that went on. Like, leafmotif.org is essentially a Chanel show. Like, there were blazers, there were jackets, there were dresses. I get it, it's a forest, that's cool. But why don't you like step outside of like, it's a forest, and actually think of some like interesting concepts on how to interpret a forest through fashion. Just because you put a leaf print on it does not mean it's cute or it's interesting or that it sticks within the theme. Like, let's, you know, be intellectual about it, because that's what it is. It should be intellectual. I will say though, I did love the fur puffer coat moment, and especially like the sweater dresses that were underneath them. They were very chic to Shein. I felt very Blair Waldorf, and it was good. It was solid. But the rest of the looks, like, yeah, they were rough. I don't know how people said that they liked them. I really couldn't grasp it. They just look cheap. They look chintzy. They look like they were made for prostitutes working the corner. And I'm not saying that prostitutes working the corner shouldn't wear Chanel, but like, they should be a nice Chanel, not that. And as for the shoes, no. There were some nice, like, metallic gold boots. They were nice. I like them. They fit with the tweed skirt suit vibe. Great. But the derby shoes with, like, the gold tips and stuff, no. Like, nobody wants to be in a derby shoe. I'm sorry. Like, I hate to break it to you. Not a derby shoe. It's not cute. Let's work on something else. Let's get something better. Like, and the bags. Chanel, again, like Louis Vuitton, is a big accessories brand. They should be producing great bags. I didn't really see any, and I especially did not love those vintage-inspired leaf carrier bags. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I get it, you're gonna go into the vintage store, you're gonna find it, you're gonna put the leaves on it, great. But, like, don't make it look like you actually bought it from the thrift store and put it on the runway. Like, that's where it's a no-go. Overall, there were so many beautiful redeemable pieces in that show. It's just that the trying to do so much and trying to like be so stylized is not good. I'm pretty positive that Chanel was the one that said take like one thing off before you leave the house. So why don't we follow the house rules and do that, Karl? Please let me know what you guys thought of the shows in the comments below. I love to hear your guys' opinions. They were very interesting ways to end Fashion Week. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and TTYL.